Welcome back, everyone, to the Deeper Podcast. I am your host, Kason Thomas, and joining me
As
again
always.
and again, Mariah Newell. What's new with you, Mariah?
Oh, not a whole lot. It's rainy outside.
We had a whole 2 weeks. How long has it been since we recorded? It's been a long time now.
It has been a long time.
Nothing is new other than the rain.
Yeah, that's about it.
That sucks. Be an adult, they said.
Yeah, you built a chicken coop. That's probably the most exciting thing that's happened in my life. So.
I also built a chicken coop and put chickens in it. This wasn't last
what are
week.
the odds?
And they all died. So
Oh, no.
I am not a successful chicken farmer thus far.
Get you a Great Pyrenees. Lifesaver.
I have 2 German Shepherds, and they helped contribute to the death rate of my chickens.
No.
But also, so did the possums, the local possum population. I helped to eliminate some of those, the local possums of Stoutland, Missouri. There are no more. 2 possums, 2 armadillos.
Wow.
Down for the count.
They really wanted those chickens.
It's ridiculous. They were drug out of the coop. I don't know if this is too much information on this podcast. If you ever find a chicken, if you have chickens, if you ever find them just drug out and like gutted from the inside out, it's probably a possum or apparently an armadillo.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that. But I learned that because I had a bunch of chickens that got killed. And they said that all these animals will kill them different ways. It makes no sense to me. Some of them will decapitate them and leave. I don't get it.
It's weird.
Yep.
Speaking of weird things, we got the youngest 2 people ever on the podcast joining us here today. Some of the youth group here at Beulah Church, Will Morrow and Josie Chancellor.
Wow.
I do know your name. I know your name. How are y'all doing?
I'm good. Oh, my bad. I got to get closer to the mic. I forgot. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah, good.
So going on right now, I pulled these young whippersnappers away from the cornhole tournament that's going on right downstairs. So if you're a Beulah person and you're listening to this, we are actively recording while you are slinging a bag and or stuffing your face with chili. We're just out here doing a service.
That's right.
Working while everybody else is having a good time. We're not really working. But. Well, Will, I'm going to start with you a little bit. You just turned 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that like?
Not much has changed. I mean, it's just another year.
Crazy how that works.
Yeah. My license expired and really trying to get that fixed. Scratch off tickets are kind of cool. And
Have you bought some of those already?
Oh, yeah. I've probably bought like 10.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh. How long have you been 18?
I don't know if I've ever bought a scratcher. I've had them gifted to me, but I've never just bought one.
Same thing.
Like me and Isaac, we go get a bunch of them and then we scratch them all off.
Have you won?
any
That's
money?
what, yeah.
Yeah, I've won like probably $45.
Really?
How much have you spent?
Wow.
Have you made a profit?
No, I'm not profit. I'm probably like negative $10.
Hey, negative 10 is not as bad as it could be, I guess, relatively speaking. Well, that's not bad. So you turned 18 in time to vote, or no? How did that work?
No. Well, so I didn't know that you're supposed to register to vote like 6 months before. And so I turned 18. I was like, hey, I need to go register to vote. And my mom was like, you can't because the election's literally in like a week. So, yeah, I didn't get to vote.
Shucks.
Well, that's tough. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Literally turn 18 in a week
First
later.
time to vote, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been pretty neat. Josie, how old are you?
I'm 13.
13. And so you told me earlier you're in 8th grade.
Yep.
And you go to Camdenton, right? Okay.
Yep.
What's Camdenton? I'm a former Lebanon person. Yeah. So we're enemies, actually. Deep down.
Yeah,
Not
I don't know if
anymore,
we can be
though,
friends
apparently.
Anymore. Ooh.
Not really.
Yeah. We're not in the football team's not in the same
the conference
even.
is different now.
So technically you're not enemies anymore.
Not anymore.
What's it like at Camdenton Middle School?
Just normal middle school.
Have you ever been to a different school?
No.
No?
Is it pretty big? Like how many people are in your class?
Probably just about like 20 average, like class.
Well, like what about your whole grade? Like
Whole
all
grade?
of 8th grade, yeah.
I don't know. Probably
Like 300 more.
Probably like 200. Because
Okay.
I think there's like 400 to 500 in the 7th and 8th grade.
Okay.
Oh,
So that's about the same size as
A
Lebanon.
little smaller, I think.
Yeah.
I actually think that's the case. I think Camdenton's like low class 5.
Because we do like the 6th grade isn't like middle school. It's like an intermediate school.
Hey, that's how it was for us. Originally,
It
Lebanon
used to
was
be,
like that. Yeah.
Because 6th grade, this is really weird. When we were in school, 6th grade was in its own school all by itself, like out, not even near any other schools.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had to go a special way to get to it and everything.
Yeah.
It was pretty weird. And now it's that school, apparently, not very long after we were in school, was condemned, the building or something.
I thought they
And
were still using it for something.
I thought it was like torn. Well, the junior high definitely was condemned. They
Yes,
tore that
that one
thing to the
was.
ground. And we both attended school there, so
Yep.
that's good. There's probably a lawsuit somewhere there. But yeah, so now all Lebanon is quote unquote middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th is all together.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. Would you have liked to have been able to vote in this election?
I don't know. It's kind of a hard question because I know like so many things are being voted on, and then you have to like vote for all of them, and then
Did you guys do, Stalin did a mock election, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Did you
Oh,
guys
really?
do one?
no, like they're not really supposed to talk about it, but like the next day you could tell the teachers were like trying to like be like sad, or then they were like,
Oh, boy.
you know, like you get in trouble if you're a teacher and you talk about politics.
Oh, so the teacher.
Huh.
Well, that seems kind of silly considering it's a government organization.
I know it.
Yeah, I think the mock election
know
thing's cool. I don't remember ever doing that in
We
school.
did it one year, I think. I don't know.
I did it in 4th grade too.
4th grade?
Yeah, we did a mock election in 4th grade, but
No
I didn't.
way.
I didn't participate. Like our school did it.
Wow.
I remember because Carly was still in high school, and so she like helped put it on.
Oh,
4th
yeah.
grade? Are you even old enough to understand?
No, not a bit.
no.
What?
Well, so who got to participate in the one at
It
Stalin?
was 7th through senior.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
That makes sense. The kids who have some
Somewhat of an
level
idea, maybe.
background.
but like it was put on. So like we have a leadership teacher, and he's the one that like organized it all. But the students like did it. Like they were like we kept track of the votes, and we gave out the ballots and stuff like that.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
None of the teachers voted, right?
I think
It was just-
no, yeah, I don't think teachers
Just the
voted.
students. So
Yeah.
so then you could kind of keep that way. The
Yeah.
teachers aren't contributing to
Yeah.
any kind of bias, I guess. That's good. What an interesting time.
Yeah.
I guess you can't do it very often now that I think about it. Like it's only ever 4 years. So if you did it once, you're never going to do it again in your high school career. Unless
That's
you,
true. Did it in 7th grade and then you could do it again.
I guess that's true. Never mind. Never mind. That was not accurate.
Will's counting in his head going, is that right?
Whoever's editing this, edit that out. Just kidding. It's me. So the topic for today is about stealing stuff. Y'all got any experience in any of that?
Yeah,
A little bit.
A little bit?
Pretty bad.
No, yeah, just a little.
Do you want to share any of that?
Yeah, whenever I was like 6, I went to Dollar General with my Mimi and Papa, and I wanted a Cadbury cream egg. Don't know why. I don't even really like them, but
what?
a Cadbury cream egg. You know those little chocolate?
I
with,
know
like,
you know what
the-
those are. Don't even talk.
No way.
You
You
don't
never
know?
got those from the Easter Bunny?
We don't. I don't get stuff from the.
Oh
Easter
yeah.
Bunny.
Well,
Never bought it at the store?
yeah. You
I-
never like see
I've
them.
just
Like
bought 'em,
they're
yeah.
interesting. It's a weird name too.
Anyway,
Anyways, I put it in my pocket, and then we like walked out the door, and we got in the truck, and we got home, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Mimi, we never paid for this. Like, it's in my pocket. It's like all over the place." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, is somebody gonna come for me? Are they gonna like the workers gonna come and like take this back, or and like, are my Mimi and Papa gonna go to jail because I stole something?" I was devastated, but
50-cent egg.
my Mimi, it's okay, you can just eat it. And I was like, no.
The funny thing is, I have a story very similar.
y'all-
I stole one of those on accident. Mm-hmm. I was maybe 5, so similar age.
Yeah.
It was one of those washcloths, you know, that you like. Okay, they didn't come as a washcloth. You put them in water and it
Yes.
Oh, it was
becomes
like
a
a little-
washcloth.
yeah, yeah.
Disney princesses.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I put it in my pocket. We left the store. I get in the car and I'm like, oh my gosh, we didn't pay for this. So I hid it in my grandma's car and I never told her about it. But I at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to get caught. They're going to take me to jail.
So you were like, Grandma's going down. If anybody's going down,
Exactly.
it's
She stole a
Grandma.
washcloth.
No chance I'm taking the fall
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah. So I understand completely.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Scary. Thug life.
Unbelievable.
Thug life.
Hashtag thug life. Holy crap.
Mine is not so innocent.
Oh boy.
Oh
Like
no.
I used to steal all the time, but like not like big stuff like that. Like you see like some like a pack of gum or something like that. I just like put it in my pocket. But I actually had like a crazy testimony one time because my dad was like, I can't remember we were talking about something, and he was like, yeah, I don't see the point of stealing stuff. And this is like pride time. I was like stealing like chapstick, like gum all the time. Like if I don't want to pay for deodorant, I would just put it in my pocket. Like it was like bad. I mean, pretty bad. But my dad was like, how can you expect God to bless you like if you're just stealing stuff, like you're not even working for it or anything like that. So then I like immediately just stopped like everything. Like I did not steal again. I was so scared. But yeah, I was not.
Did you see
stealing,
Did you see a turnaround in your life with like?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like, because at the time I had a job, but like a job. I mean, I was getting paid in cash, like under the table, but still. And then all of a sudden, like I quit stealing stuff like that, and it was all of a sudden like money that's just like never was a problem for me. Like I always like I was always provided with something. Like even if it was my parents giving me money, or like like I remember one time I was working for Sam, and he like gave me like an extra like $100, like for nothing. Like I mean I worked good. I had a good work week, but like I didn't do nothing special or nothing like that. And he just gave me extra money. And it's like stuff like that. Like you just see like little stuff like that just happens whenever you start like obeying God, that was kind of a testimony for me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And who's your dad again?
Rick Morrow.
That's Pastor Rick Morrow. For y'all listening, I guess I don't know. Most of y'all probably know.
Yeah, the Richard man.
The Richard. I guess since you shared too, I'll share a little bit.
I was gonna say you better have a story.
I was also in there, and I shared a lot of my. Were you there when I shared all the deep dark secrets of my life?
I don't
with
think
the youth?
so.
Oh well, I'm not gonna get into it on here. That's for the youth to know. But yeah, there was a definitely time in my life, like in high school, I can remember it the most, where we would just like for no reason. We weren't even like I worked, so I had money. I was just like taking stuff. Me and my buddy would go to Walmart and like stupid like stuff like you were saying, like just dumb crap. We'd go before school. We'd just go into Walmart and take like gummy worms and stupid stuff and just walk out with them. I was like, looking back, I'm like, I have deserved to go to jail. Like,
now, was that before they had the little beepers that went off on the doors?
Yeah.
See, but those
well,
beepers,
no,
like,
they don't pick up stuff unless they have a magnetic strip in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because
So you
I feel
can
like there's
steal all
been
kinds of
times where
stuff.
like I forgot to scan something on self-checkout and it's gone off.
Well, it has
So I don't. Interesting.
it has to have the magnetic strip for it to.
So just a
That's
thing of
why they-
chapstick, it wouldn't go off.
Right, that's
Not
why
that I'm
they
trying to
only
figure out how to
put-
steal.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. That's why they only they usually only really have them in like the high value stuff, because could be going off all the time. Because that's when
Yeah.
they disactivate it on the thing, or deactivate it is the right word.
Yeah.
When they run it across that deal, it's like disengaging whatever the magnetic thing is that'll set it off.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your
Science.
testimony.
No, I mean,
curious.
that's really all I got. It wasn't anything. Actually, same guy that straightened him out. I was not stealing by the time I met Rick, but we were on that trip. The first vacation I went on with the Morrow family, we were at whatever that restaurant's called. Lambert's, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right?
What trip was this?
The first one to Gulf Shores.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When
yeah.
Whitley
Or
was a
my first
baby,
one.
right?
The very first one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were there, and there was like a joke about us taking their cups or something dumb, and your dad was like, "No, I'm not missing out on a blessing because of something's like a $20 cup," and I was like,
Yeah, I remember that
"That's
now.
something."
We always
I was
called them
sitting right next
blessing
to him.
blockers growing
Yeah.
up. Like that's a blessing blocker.
I'd never
Don't.
heard of that in my life. So
Really? See, that's wild.
yeah, I spent. Okay, we're not getting into that.
I know. I get you. Yeah.
I did not grow up in church, for a reminder. Like everybody. Yeah, so that was a big moment for me, and I wasn't obviously stealing anything at that time, but it just now it's more of like any sin. Then I think about is how is this affecting down the line? Like I don't think God's maliciously trying to harm me or something or take away something from me, but I'm putting something in, like prohibiting it from happening or setting it on a different course. I'm trying to think how to. Anyway, that's all. Neither here nor there. But Exodus 20:15. We're still in the 10 Commandments conversation. It feels like we've been here for my whole
Forever.
life. It feels like
Yeah.
it's been a long time. Probably because it's every other week, and so it's like double the length that it's could have been, I guess, but it's fine. Exodus chapter 20, verse 15. In the New Living, it says, "You must not steal."
I have a better one.
Pretty down and dirty.
I don't know if you looked at other translations.
I didn't even try this time because.
Amplified is pretty good.
Oh boy.
It says, "You shall not steal," and then is it brackets? They're not parentheses. They're the ones.
Yeah, the
with
hard edges.
Yeah, brackets. It says secretly, openly, fraudulently, or through carelessness.
Through carelessness. That's a good one because carelessness, you technically broke the law.
We did.
I
We
did,
broke
no.
the 8th commandment.
Unbelievable.
Very
Did you
creepy.
repent for that? Or?
Yeah.
Now I am.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you. All right. Oh, so what's the root of this command? What do we think? I mean, obviously the pride. I think that's pretty basic. We've talked about that every single time. But I think kind of what you and I have talked about, Mariah, is like the idea of I think that whatever someone else has is better off in my hands, and I'm not willing to put the work in for it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a general idea.
Laziness.
Laziness.
A lot of
yeah.
laziness.
Yeah, and we're going to get there in a second. I've got a bajillion verses from Proverbs about laziness. But in the meantime, Exodus 22, I wanted to read this little passage because this kind of goes into more depth with some stealing stuff. Starting in verse 1, it says, if someone steals an ox or sheep and then kills or sells it, the thief must pay back 5 oxen or each ox stolen, for each ox stolen. Holy smokes. And 4 sheep for each sheep stolen. Dang, that's a lot. So it's multiplied. So if you steal, you have to pay back and then some interest on it. If a thief is caught in the act of breaking into a house and is struck and killed in the process, the person who killed the thief is not guilty of murder. That's irrelevant.
I just needed to throw that in there.
If a thief is caught in the act and is struck and killed in the process, I got to read this again. The person who killed the thief is not guilty of murder. I think that's hilarious, but if you steal stuff
Yeah.
and then somebody shoots you, I guess, then you're just, sorry about you. Should have been stealing. That's tough.
Yeah, interesting.
That's a hard life. What did you say earlier?
Thug life.
Thug life. There we go.
Yeah.
Verse 3, but if it happens in daylight, okay, the one who killed the thief is guilty of murder. So if you kill some,
What?
okay, hang on.
That's like-
so if I'm stealing at night and I get killed, it's my fault. But if I steal in the daylight and I get killed, it's the killer's fault.
Makes
Interesting.
no sense to me.
That's so,
You're stealing either way.
I'm
Like,
trying to think of this as like a deep philosophical
well, I guess this is going
thing.
more murder direction. Like the thief is
Yeah.
still a thief either way, but you murdering the thief is where it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Because maybe being able to see the person is different, but I mean, I can see you in the dark. Like if it's
Yeah. But it's like you're asleep and then
Nighttime.
nighttime, so it's like more of like a self-defense type thing, I guess, maybe.
And if you're
Maybe I'm
awake, maybe
asleep
you're
during the
more
day.
aware.
you don't know what I
I
do.
take a lot
Josie.
of naps, but
Unless it's saying like just like if you catch somebody stealing like during the daytime, like not like during the daytime, but like actually like the self-defense thing. Maybe it's saying like don't kill them. Like
Call
just
the
tell
police
them,
or-
tell them to stop.
Get out of my
because
house.
There might not be anybody nearby during the nighttime.
Yeah, like in the nighttime you're by yourself, and so you're like fend for yourself. But like in the daytime you'd be like, hey, like listen.
You got no
don't do
reason
that.
to be. Yeah, that
so
makes
violent
sense.
about it. Yeah,
It's a good thought. So if you don't kill the guy and he gets caught, continuing on in verse 3, a thief who is caught and must pay in full. A thief who is caught must pay in full for everything he stole. If he cannot pay, he must be sold as a slave to pay for his theft. If someone steals an ox or a donkey or a sheep and it is found in the thief's possession, then the thief must pay double the value of the stolen animal. So that's pretty crazy because you still have the ox or the donkey and you still got to pay back double what it's worth. That's kind of wild.
And do they mean back then? It probably meant literally another ox. So like I stole 1 ox, I owe you 2 ox, or do I just give you money,
Well, I don't know.
double what the ox was worth? I don't know.
I would say either way would probably go. I mean, I would say a thief most likely does not have another ox if he's
Probably
stealing
not.
those ox. I'm going to go out on a limb
Yeah.
here and say that. But yeah. So I just think there's no real depth to that. I think it just lays out it goes into detail on people stealing stuff. Fill in the blank on what you want with ox or sheep or whatever. But obviously back then, this is something that's like your livelihood. Like oxen are to plow fields and sheep are for to eat or to potentially some of these are for sacrificial objects, and wool for clothing and warmth. What other animal did I say? Donkeys, they are transportation. So, if you steal a car and I find you have the car, you owe me double. That's what it says.
2 cars.
Yeah.
That's what it says. To spin off of stealing stuff a little bit, I want to talk about, there's a few different topics, because I think stealing is another one of those basic things. We've talked about that a few times over the past few weeks. The commandment says, don't do this thing. And it's like, okay, I won't steal. Like, that's pretty easy. But I think the Bible, Jesus himself doesn't go into depth on this specific command to the extent that he does for murder and for adultery or marriage in general, but there is plenty of scripture in the New Testament where we find, I think, like expansions on it. Specifically, I want to talk about Ephesians 4:28 and get into generosity a little bit. Is that one you had?
Sure is. I actually posted it on social media too.
Okay, how about you read it, because I'm sick of reading.
Oh, you're good. Ephesians 4:28 in the NLT. It says, if you are a thief, quit stealing. Instead, use your hands for good, hard work, and then give generously to others in need. In the Message, it's kind of right in your face. It says, did you used to make ends meet by stealing? Well, no more. Get an honest job so that you can help others who can't work. It's like, snap.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's interesting. So even that one, they're like expanding on the idea. So like the Old Testament is saying, if you steal, you're going to have to pay back more. Now it's like, hey, if you're stealing, stop stealing, which is kind of an interesting idea in the New Testament, because now we're looking at it in a different, it's more of a redeemed way. Like you don't need to become a slave. Just stop being a slave to the sin and then be generous and work hard instead. It's like turning this around, and rather than trying to reward yourself, use your hard work to reward someone else. The idea of the upside down kingdom coming to light there a little bit. Mm-hmm. Josie, in all your crazy notes, did you have any generosity thoughts?
Not really, just
No?
a bunch of random things.
Are there any big ways that you've been generous or seen generosity play out in your life?
In one of my old churches, we went to a homeless shelter, and we we cleaned up the whole place, and we took a couple days to give them food and stuff. So we used to have a food pantry, and we'd always restock it every week, kind of like we do here.
What about you, Will?
Like how I've seen generosity?
Yeah.
Well, cause, I struggle with generosity a lot because I'm super stingy with my money. Like you can ask a lot of people, I really don't like spending my money, especially not for other people. But I'm working on that. I'm working on that. But so I don't know if I've told you this testimony or not. We went to Iowa for that church service, and I really did not want to go. Dad was like, "Yeah, you're gonna go because you're not staying home alone." I'm like, okay, I understand that. But he bribed me. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna go watch a college basketball game." I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll go." And so we went to the church service the next day after the basketball game, and I'm this is my first ever I went to first ever major sport thing, because I've never actually went to I've never went to a concert. I've never went to a professional sports game.
Okay.
So I was really hyped up. I was so excited. And the next day I was just kind of riding that little high, I just went and saw this game. But we went to this church service, and I really didn't want to be there at all. And they started asking us to pray for people, just mom and dad. So I'm just sitting there okay, I'm going to be done praying for people in a little bit. And then the pastor of the church was like, "Hey, come pray for some of these people with me." And I was like, okay. So I got done praying, and I started praying for a bunch of different people. And I prayed for this one lady. I didn't even know what was wrong with her. I just prayed that she would see through, I can't remember what I said, that she would see through God's eyes and not worldly eyes. And all of a sudden, I guess she could see again. Because she said she was blind in one eye or something. She couldn't see far away, and all of a sudden she could see far away again. So first of all, it's a cool testimony itself. But after the service gets done, this guy comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey," and I have no idea who this guy is. We're in Iowa. I live in Missouri. And he's like, "Here you go," and just handed me $700 in cash. And I was like, well, holy crap, So, that's probably the biggest thing of generosity I've ever seen play out, just straight given to me, for no reason at all. So,
God being a little generous, giving you a little bit of hey, if you be obedient, look at what you'll get to see. Exactly. That's pretty cool. A little reluctant obedience maybe.
Yeah.
Either way, that's awesome. That's crazy. Mariah, you got any cool generosity stories?
I guess mine are more or less. I have a few. Have to pick one. I'm gonna pick one. Being adult some days is hard. There's bills to pay, all this. I'm going through fast food drive-through one day, and I get up. I'm almost to the window, and I hear God tell me I need to pay for the person behind me. At the time, I had gotten the cheapest thing on the menu. The cheapest thing I could find, because I'm like, Lord, I don't have the money. you want me to pay for the person behind me? I could barely pay for my food today. Get closer, and he's like, you really need to pay for that person behind you. And I'm like, and you're like, okay, sure, I'll do it. I get up there and I ask the person, I said, I'd like to pay for the person behind me. How much is it? And they're like, oh, it's $3. They just got a Frosty. And I was like, all right, Lord, I'm so sorry. You know, like we doubt him so many times with being generous because we're thinking, well, I can't even provide for myself, or I don't know. And you guys are young too, so you probably don't see it as much. But when you get older, I feel like it hits a little harder. But the moment that you are generous, and he just goes to show you, he's like, I wouldn't tell you to do something if I didn't know that you could handle it, or if I wasn't going to provide for you in the end. And so I try to, if he tells me at any point, hey, I need you to go give this person money for gas, and I wasn't even able to put gas in my car, the next day money comes in from somewhere, who knows where, and I'm able to pay for my own gas, or I'm able to pay my bills. And so just, I think in the last few years, I've seen him show up constantly in that way. And that if I'm generous and I'm obedient to him, he always comes through for me. So
That's cool.
yeah.
I heard a story recently about somebody paying for somebody's gas, and it was a youth pastor, and took some young girls. This is on that other podcast I was telling you about. And he was at the gas station with 4 youth girls and was paying for people's gas. And the first one went well, so he goes to another vehicle, and it's like a Suburban in the, like, far away in the parking lot. He's like, surely they need gas. Like, it's a Suburban. So he goes up to the Suburban, and like the guy rolls the window down, and he's like, you here for the spice?
What?
And he's got like a block of drugs in there.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, you here for the spice? And he's just like, nope, and walks away. He's like,
Not paying for your gas.
I just walked 4 young girls into a drug deal at the gas
gosh.
station.
And I'm sure they went home and told their parents,
that's
guess
so
what
good.
we did today.
So sometimes generosity might get you in some heat, but with the right response, I think that could have went well. But anyway.
Yeah. Wow.
But that's hilarious nonetheless.
I've never heard it called spice. What's
I don't know what spice is.
Like what?
I honestly don't know enough street words
Yeah.
to know what spice means.
Nope.
I'm just going to assume it's drugs and go with it. Drugs are drugs.
Well, Kason, you got any stories other than somebody else's?
That one. Just kidding. It was actually me. It wasn't anybody. No, I'm just kidding. That one from, it wasn't that long ago. The homeless guy I saw like trying to hide in the woods, but I somehow randomly saw him, or it seemed like he was hiding a little bit, like he was off the road and tucked into the wood line a little bit off the highway. And I was leaving the gym and just drove by and saw him. It was like, I don't know, definitely was, God was like, go over there and pray for him or whatever. I keep on driving and got like a mile down the road, and it was like, that's it. That's all right. Like, you're not going to do anything. I was like, well, he's on the other side of the road. In my head, I'm like arguing. So I turned around and went back and parked on the side of the highway with my hazards on and get out and walk over there. He probably thought I was about to yell at him or jump him or something. I don't know. I was actually like, in my head, I'm like, what if this guy thinks I'm coming after him and like jumps me? Like, my truck just running. He could just steal my truck and run away. In my head, I'm like walking like down into the ditch thinking this, and I'm like, hopefully this goes well. But anyway, I prayed with him a little bit, and then he ended up like kind of having a little bit of a emotional moment, and he had been to church but was distant from it, and he ended up being like rededicating himself, or I think he was saved for the first time that right there in that prayer, because it was just a moment. I don't know, just one of those things where you're like, this is God right here. But I gave him all the money I had in my wallet at the time, and told him, like, God wants you to have this, use it for something that's worthwhile. And then I've never seen him on the side of the road since. So either moved or God helped him out. I don't know. Yeah. So I just thought it was bigger than like giving him money. It was more about his eternity, like being generous with my willingness to
Your
just
time.
stop. Yeah.
You were generous with your time. Yeah, that's huge.
I think Sam and I talked a little bit about that when he was on the podcast, about like that's something that people don't really think about as much, and sometimes that's the most valuable thing you actually have to offer people, is just being willing to hear them talk or just sit around them. You don't even have to have a conversation, just being in their presence with them. Kind of like your friend, the story you told about whatever friend his family member had passed away.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
similar deal.
Yeah, that was a good story.
So, switch gears just a little bit and let's wrap this together here a little, like talk about stewardship and as well as laziness. You got any notes on that? You know what I mean when I say stewardship?
Yeah, I was about to ask you to define that, actually.
Yeah.
So a good steward is someone who manages what they have well, who manages what they've been given well. There is a parable about the three servants, the three slaves, whatever they are, and the master. It's a parable, so the master's God gives these people three different amounts of money, and the one who gets the two who get the two most amounts of money, like invested and do well with it and end up multiplying it, and then the guy who gets the least amount of money squanders it, like hides it, is afraid he's going to lose it, doesn't do anything with it, and then the master comes back and he's like, "This is the best you could do." And anyway, it becomes a testament to like when you're given things, your role as a steward of these things, that the anointing on your life, blessing in a financial, physical way, whatever it may be, stewarding that well means making the most of it, like using it well, applying it well. But and then there's a lot of under low key things in there, like God knows he was gonna not do anything with it, so he gave him the least amount, and that's a testament to like. Sometimes you wonder why God's not doing anything with you. Well, maybe because you aren't doing anything with what you already have. So that's what I mean. Does that? Are we clear now? Do we know what I'm talking about?
I feel like that kind of goes back to what's the story of the lady that she had like a penny and that's all she had to give in the Bible. Talks about that's literally all she had and she gave that. And then there were some people that had way more than her and they gave the same amount, but God didn't see it as, I don't know how to word this.
It's like one's like given everything you have.
Yes. Yeah. That's literally all she had, and she gave that. And these people had 10 times as much, and they gave the same amount she did.
Yeah.
And remembering that it's God that gives that to us. And so I think, because I'm the same way, I'm not very good at being generous with my money. I can be a little stingy. And so remembering that it's not my money, it's God's money is huge. That really changed the way you think about it.
Yeah, it does.
And he wouldn't ask you to do it if he wasn't going to provide for you.
We're actually going to talk about somebody giving their last something tomorrow morning. Did y'all read 1 Kings 17 yet?
Was Elijah?
Yeah.
His last what? What does he give his last thing?
Not him. The widow woman.
The widow woman and the bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another good story of this. Similar context. There's nobody else to compare it to because she was just her and her son dying. But yeah.
Oh.
Luke 16:10. It says, if you are faithful in the little things, you will be faithful in the large ones. But if you are dishonest in the little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. That's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, and then that's exactly what your story you're talking about.
What's that Spider-Man quote?
With great power comes great responsibility.
It always comes to mind when I think about it. I'm sorry.
No, that's
Spider-Man fan.
That's it. That's good stewardship for the Lord with great power.
It is. It is.
So tie that with laziness. I didn't put any of these verses in here. I just have 1,000 verses in here.
Oh boy, on laziness?
Yeah, a bunch of Proverbs.
Face. Like, every time you read it.
I didn't. I put them in here, but didn't put the actual verse. Did you have anything on laziness? That you thought
There was one thing I found that is not something I would have thought about. Thinking about like our employment, like if you have a job, failing to be a good worker at your job or slacking off or
that's a verse, isn't it? It's
might
slaves
be.
work for your masters. I'm pretty sure it's in Colossians. We studied that with Jazz.
oh well, I didn't write it down, but if it is, yeah.
I'll try to find it.
Yeah,
but
that'd be
it's really
great.
good. It's talking about how like you need to as a worker. Well, it says slave in the Bible, but that's besides the point. It's like you need to see your boss as God, like as you're working for God. So don't be lazy and stuff like that.
Yeah, because in turn you're stealing
Yeah.
from your employer. You're stealing from them if you're not working hard like you're supposed to be and you're still getting paid for those hours that you were supposedly working hard. And I never thought about it like that as stealing, but, translating it back to what we're talking about. I thought that was interesting.
First.
okay.
He might be looking for a minute, so.
Yeah, I can't
We'll just elaborate on. I'm not going to read every single one of these. I just want to see what y'all kind of think on this one. Proverbs 10:5. If you have your phone and want to look it up yourself, but if you don't, I'll read it. It says, "A wise youth harvests in the summer, but one who sleeps during the harvest is a disgrace." A wise youth harvests in the summer, but one who sleeps during the harvest is a disgrace. What do you think? What do you make out of that?
Hold on, read it one more time.
A wise youth. Crap.
Harvests in the summer.
Harvests in the summer. A wise youth harvests in the summer, but one who sleeps during harvest is a disgrace.
So like the ones that work, I mean, they're honored, and the ones that are being lazy, they're not going to see the benefits of it. Like, that's the main thing I get from it. It's like, work hard, like while you have the time, and don't be lazy.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Any different thoughts?
No, just kind of the same thing as well,
Okay. Brian, what do you think?
I think there too, the key word is a wise youth. Harvest in the summer. So saying that wisdom comes with working. Like, I don't know how to, does that make sense? I feel like there's more to be said there, but
I can see some of that.
like it would be wise to get a job and work for the food that you get. Like this specifically is talking about harvest, right? So food. Mm-hmm. And what does the Bible say? If you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of ties back to that. Like one who sleeps during the harvest isn't going to eat.
Yeah. When I hear harvest, when I hear crops, when I hear harvest, when I hear fruit, all of that triggers salvation, winning souls. That's the first thing that I always think about when I hear any of that stuff.
Okay.
And so I kind of think of it as like taking advantage of, if you're sleeping, the harvest is still there to take, but you're like missing out on it. But if you're gathering your crop, you're like taking advantage of the opportunity that's being given to you. Like the opportunity is there regardless, but are you going to sleep through it or are you going to harvest?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's kind of what my thought is.
Well, we've all had a very different take on that. That's good.
Yeah.
That's what.
Again, why the Bible is so cool.
The Bible's cool.
It is.
I'm sorry I said it that way, but it was funny.
Funny thing is, though, after the one you just talked about, the next verse says, "The godly are showered with blessings." That's funny that those go. I don't think that's not coincidence. And then the one previous says, "Lazy people are soon poor. Hard workers get rich." The ones beginning and then following, I think, go hand in hand with that verse.
Yeah, I had 10:4 on my list too. 10:4, good buddy.
Oh, I found that verse, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was Ephesians. Can you
Oh,
read that?
well, close.
Yeah, it's slaves, obey your earthly masters with deep respect and fear, and serve them sincerely as you would serve Christ. So that's what I get. Like whenever I can't remember what we were even talking about now, but
About working hard and not slacking off at work. Yeah.
I like just doing everything is working as you're working for Christ.
Yeah.
Especially like I like respecting people like that. Like that's a big thing that comes to my mind whenever I read that verse. But I kind of see that like in everything that I do. Like I need to be doing this as I'm doing it for Christ. Like, and I try to make that my attitude in most things. But I mean, that was my biggest take from.
Yeah, no, that's good. Who was it that said the other day? I don't know if it was in Bible study or Sunday school. They were talking about, or no, I think it was Joe, I think, that said it shouldn't matter where you work. Everywhere you go, you should be working for Christ anyway. Like it doesn't matter.
My sermon.
Was it you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm so sorry. That was good though. Like that's, I mean, I guess I think about it like that.
It was from the Lord, so there's that.
Well, yeah.
It was from the Bible.
But that's good.
Yeah, that's another one we could tie to it. It says work is at all things like work as though you're working for the Lord, and I think people lose sight of that because we're way off topic.
No, but we're talking about work, and it's
sure,
fine.
yeah. I think people lose sight of that because we get caught up working for the people we work for, and that's another one of those like. Our fight is not against flesh and blood.
Mm-hmm.
We'll stop working for flesh and blood and stop being in that fight with them and just work. I was actually going to ask Josie what she thought. What you feel like you are currently stewarding for the Lord? Like, what things in your life do you feel like God has given to you specifically to take care of right now in this season of your life?
That's a good question.
I don't know. It's kind of hard. I guess the people that I choose to hang out with, like the way I influence the way they act, kind of, Like, sometimes it's hard to be, like, friends with a lot of people in middle school because everybody acts a different way. And so I feel like God put me in a place in middle school where I can try and influence Jesus on everyone, even when it's hard, Middle school is a bunch of different people trying to figure out who they are, and you just kind of have to stand firm in what you believe.
Middle school is hard. That is, yeah.
That's the hardest time to do exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
To stand firm in that. So stewarding friendships, stewarding your evangelistic mindset, I guess.
Yeah,
I was trying to think of a big fancy word to use there.
the big one.
What do you think, Will? What are you stewarding?
Man, she kind of like knocked it out of the park. I don't know. I mean,
We're in a little different season of life than she is. You're about to graduate high school,
Yeah.
so
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that God's like just given me, like natural talents and stuff like that. And that, like especially, I've not trying to like toot my own horn, but I do think I'm like a natural leader. Like I do really well at leading people. And so like, especially, I mean, sports is a really big part of my life right now. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know that. But like being a good steward of the people that are around me in those things, like, because I mean, I think a lot of people do look up to me, like especially in my school, because we're a real small school. But just being able to show Christ, like in what, like how I move, how I walk, like everything that I do throughout the day, like showing Christ in those opportunities to have those people like look up to me and see that is a big like part of what I need to do. But mainly just being a leader, like leading people in the right direction, even if it's on a basketball court or if it's like, in a youth group scenario, being able to show God through that is probably one of my biggest things right now.
I think that's huge. Being in school, like what both of you guys said, your friendships are huge. Like stewarding those friendships well and making sure that you're showing Christ through them. That's huge.
Yeah. And like Jazz said, she used to tell us all the time in youth, but a lot of the time, like especially growing up in school, you're the only Jesus that people are going to see. Like you're the only Bible that people are going to look at because, I mean, they don't grow up in church like you do. So being able to, be that Christ-like opportunity for them to see, like, dang, Will's always in a good mood, like, because a lot of people aren't in a good mood all the time. But if you're, like, always in a good mood, you're always being positive, like, that people see that, and then they'll come up and be like, hey, like, why are you always so happy? And then you can tell, and then that's where you put the foot in the door for Jesus,
Yeah, that's awesome.
what do y'all think? You got any last like big statements you want to make? Last what do I even say right now? What am I
Closing
trying to say?
remarks?
Yeah, any big closing? I don't know why my brain was not letting me come up with that word. Any kind of closing statements that you think that ties back to anything we talked about?
Just kind of like stealing comes from, the devil wants us to, stealing comes from the desire to get what we want or what we think we want. So just kind of, God provides us with everything we have, and stealing kind of takes away the blessing, kind of like you said at the beginning.
It's almost like being ungrateful for what God has given you.
Yeah.
Like when you go to steal from somebody else, you're being ungrateful for what God has already provided for you. You're saying, no, that's not enough. I actually need that.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good.
5 pages of notes and that's all you had.
It's mostly just verses that
I'm not supposed to bully them.
I'm not. Trust me, I get it.
What do you think, Will? Any closing statements? Any big things? Final thoughts?
I mean, like, just tying back, like what I said in the beginning, like, stealing, it's, like what Mariah said, it's a blessing blocker. Like, there's no point of stealing to get something that you don't need whenever God's going to bless you with something. Like, I mean, it's blocking what God's going to give you in the future. And that's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
What about you, Mariah?
I had a quick thing just about how it stems from a thought. Where did that? Hold on. I had a verse that backed it up. Matthew 15:19, and I think we've talked about it with some of the other commandments. It says, "For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, and slander. So again, a lot of these commandments that we talk about start with a thought. So like initially you're thinking, well, that's cool that they have that new iPhone. I'd really like to have that new iPhone. I think I'm just going to go take it. Like it starts with a thought. And if you don't allow that thought to continue in your brain and let the devil continue to feed into that thought, then it's not going to be a problem. If you continue to take those thoughts captive, and like we talk about your mom, Miss Aramaro, she's always grabbing those thoughts and throwing them out. I think that is so important. And this is, again, one of those instances too where I think it's important. The minute you have that thought, throw it out, get rid of it.
Yeah, it's just like what we're talking about in youth. We talked about in youth last Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like confessing it and then like the brain ruts, making ruts in your brain for God to work.
Yep. Dang. Somebody's listening.
You're like, oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, the thought process, we're going to stick in that for a few weeks. But yeah, controlling what you think controls every other thing. What you put in is what you get out.
That's right.
All those things.
That is right.
Well, children.
We
thank you.
We are not that much older than
feels like it. Thank you for coming on here. Seriously, most kids don't want to come sit up here and talk about the Bible on a Saturday night when they could be slinging a bag.
That's right. Eating chili.
Yeah. So thanks for putting in the effort that you did and in coming up here and having this conversation.
Thanks for inviting us to talk.
Yeah, it was fun. I got to listen to myself in the microphone.
I don't know that I'm going to be listening. I'll skip all the parts that I'm talking.
I've heard
the way
that
my
before.
voice sounds is just annoying to me.
I've heard that story before from a few people.
Yeah.
It's all right. No big deal.
Yeah. Thank you guys, seriously, though, for being on here. That's awesome. I wish I could have done something like this at your guys' age. Yeah, it's cool.
It is pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. I kind of feel like a
celebrity.
Yeah, I feel like a celebrity right now.
Celebrity for Jesus.
One of my friends say that she's going to listen to this.
Oh, well, hey. That's awesome.
Start.
Yeah.
We'll have to have you on here more. Tell her to tune in Josie Chancellor.
I will.
That's right.
Yeah. Post on my story,
It's great. I love it. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us today for episode, what is this? 29. Episode 29. Wow.
Yeah, we're closing in.
We hope this episode has encouraged and challenged you to dig deeper in your walk with Christ. Stay connected with us throughout the week by following us on Facebook and Instagram. As always, those links are available in the show notes. We also encourage you to give to the podcast in order for us to reach the people that we do and to continue to expand our reach. We need people that are willing to pour into this podcast so we can pour into others. Also, we would love to hear your thoughts and any questions you might have regarding this week's topic. Feel free to reach out to us again on social media if you have any thoughts or questions. That will wrap it up. Kason, go ahead and close us in prayer.
All right. Lord, I thank you for this day. I thank you for these young people here today. I thank you that their minds are set on you. I thank you that you are creating revival in this generation. Lord, I pray that they will keep their hearts on fire for you and not their hearts on fire for sharing you with everyone that they know. And I ask that you continue to give all of us opportunities to minister, to share the gospel with our friends and with the people around us. And Lord, we thank you for who you are. We thank you for all the blessings in our lives. And I pray that we just do not take those things for granted, but continue to praise you for everything that we have. Father, we thank you most for Jesus and for the rescue mission that he went on to redeem us all. And it's in his name. Amen.